Hi. Hello there. Been a while since I've done a video like this, sitting down, just talking with you guys. So here we are. The NFL playoffs kick off later today. At the time I'm recording this, it is Friday evening. This video will be put out, Saturday morning. So playoffs will be kicking off later today when this video gets published. And I haven't done this much all season. I gave out a mini season preview video. It wasn't really my best work, but let's talk about these guys right here. The Miami Dolphins as they head into their wild card game later this evening in Arrowhead in record-setting cold temperatures, negative 30 wind chill. That is what we're looking at here, folks. It could be definitely a Dolphins record for coldest game in franchise history. But for the Chiefs, it might be as well at time of kickoff. We will see then. But Dolphins and Chiefs later on this evening. So let's dive in a little bit. So usually in these videos, I like to have notes that I could just go over, talk about this, talk about that, and get my thoughts on it. This video is going to be different. This is all coming straight from the heart and the mind, all right? I only have one note, and it's not even a note. It's a fucking tweet sent out a couple days ago. That's only 2 lines, and that's going to summarize the Dolphins season here. So, in this video, we're going to talk about my thoughts on the season that was, a couple thoughts on some key personnel within the organization, and a preview of my thoughts on the game tonight, and does this team have a legit shot to make it in for these playoffs? If you've been following the Dolphins this year, or not following, just been paying attention, well, let's just say this team doesn't perform well against legit playoff teams, or teams with a winning record, of that matter. And how I would describe the Dolphins season, a fucking roller coaster. The ups and the downs, the injuries, the playing down to competition. One week they look like world beaters, the next week they don't. Struggle here, struggle there. You get the picture. It's been a rough season. And here is the basic summary of what this season was. The Dolphins end the regular season 1-5 with a negative 91-point differential against playoff teams. Only the Giants and Commanders had a worse point differential against playoff teams. There you have it. And I missed that free throw, by the way, into my garbage can. I know I suck. But there you have it. That sums it up right there. 1-5 against playoff teams and a negative 91-point differential. So, how do I think this team will fare in the playoffs? Well, considering that and everything else surrounding the team, well, let's just say it ain't pretty. Now, I'll give this team some credit. They fought. They continue to fight. They don't go down without swinging in most games. And unfortunately choke a lot. The Bills game being the latest one in that matter. So, why don't we go back to September, all right? Opening day, Dolphins at Chargers in Los Angeles, California, Inglewood SoFi Stadium. 4:30 kickoff. And when this matchup was first announced, I looked back at last season. And I'm like, man, Dolphins struggled in Sunday Night Football in LA. That was rough. That was the December schedule with playing, I want to say 3 out of their last 5 on the road. 4 out of their last 5 on the road even. I forget what exactly was. And they did not look good against said Chargers team. So I thought it would be more of the same. But it was a battle. Both teams fought back and forth. The Chargers couldn't cover Tyreek Hill. Dolphins defense struggled for most of the game until the very end. After a clutch touchdown by Tyreek with a little under 2 minutes to go, I think it was. The Dolphins defense finally got to Justin Herbert, blitz him, and they escape LA with a victory, 1-0 to start the season. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Your boys battled. You got the win to start the year. Next week in New England, Sunday Night Football against the Patriots in the throwback red jerseys. It was a game, not as many points in offense as the first game, and including the Dolphins having to hold on at the very end. But hey, they won their first 2 games on the road. Okay, 2-0 to start the year. I thought they would start 0-2, but actually 1-1. I had them going 1-1, the split. But they're 2-0 and coming home. And what do you do week 3 against the Broncos in your first home game of the year? How about a 70 bomb? 70 points dropped on the Broncos in week number 3. What is this team? Fucking world beaters. This team right now. 3-0 to start the year? That's pretty impressive. But then we got the realization of, oh, that's right. Bills had to remind us who was daddy. And they got their shit kicked in Buffalo in week number 4. But hey, 3-1 after the first month of the season. I can't complain. They won a couple more games, but Eagles on Sunday Night Football in Philadelphia debuting the Kelly Green jerseys. Oh. That was a tough one on a lot of things, but the thing that stood out that game was the fact that the Dolphins had 10 penalties and the Eagles had 0 when they were holding and doing lots of things the whole game. Look, it is what it is, but not a single penalty called on the Eagles, not a one. But hey, they got their own problems right now. So, neither here nor there. And then they go to Germany to play the Chiefs. That one sucked. And you got your first true glimpse of, they were, I think they were winning at one point in that game in the second half. No, they came back. No, that's what it was. Chiefs were up big at the half. I remember. It was like 28-7. I think Kansas City at the half. Dolphins nearly came back and had a drive to win it, actually. But, Tua slipped and fell and fumbled the ball. So, you head into the bye, and that's when the Hard Knocks in season with the Dolphins debuted, which, if you haven't watched it, by the way, sounding like a bit of a homer because it is my team, but I love Hard Knocks. I still appreciate it. It doesn't have the same oomph as it does in years past because of what the coverage is like behind the scenes with these teams are nowadays, but still, it just gets me. You know, man, seeing these guys, getting to know what they are personally, and just that behind-the-scenes access that you don't see during the week and in games. So it still gets to me as a good show. So if you haven't watched it, it's on Max, the full series, HBO. Check it out if you want to. So they come back after the bye, win a couple games, and then the game that turned the whole season. Now, at that point going in, The Dolphins had a clear edge for the AFC East title. It was all laid out in front of them. Bills were on the downturn. They lost a couple weeks at the time going into the Tennessee game on Sunday Night Football. Oh, not Sunday night. To the Eagles Thanksgiving weekend, excuse me. They had it all laid out in front of them. The path was there. All they had to do was handle their business. And they could just rest guys, claim the East. But, unfortunately, nope. Up 2 scores with 2 minutes left. I think it was a little above 2 minutes. I think it was like 2:41. And you lose the fucking game. The biggest comeback by a team in that short of amount of time in over, I think it was 7,000 days. The game didn't even go to overtime. They choked, plain and simple. And right then and there, I realized that the team was fraudulent. And that just motivated Buffalo. The door opened wide for them. That's what cost the Dolphins this season. Right there, the collapse against the Titans on Monday Night Football. Shame on you. And the schedule wasn't getting any easier. Cowboys Christmas Eve at Baltimore New Year's Eve, the number 1 team in the AFC, and the Bills Week 18. But hey, they beat the Cowboys on Christmas Eve. I can't complain. I mean, Dallas has their own problems. They're undefeated at home, but play like shit on the road. But hey, you know what? They beat a legit playoff team. What can I say? I'll give them that. And they had an impressive drive to do it near the end of the game. Tua led them down the field. Jason Sanders, 5 for 5 on field goals that day, and 3 from above 50. Impressive. So I'm like, okay, here we go. Week 17 in Baltimore. New Year's Eve. This is it. The 2 best teams in the AFC, supposedly. You could have clinched the East. You had it right there. But no. You crumbled. And the better team won. And they shit-stomped you in the process. Now, I know the Ravens have been doing that to a lot of teams this year. And I respect Baltimore. I don't like a couple of their players. I have personal, thoughts on that. But, hey, they're a good team. They have been for many years. And they deserve to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. You had the chance to stop narratives. And you failed again and you got your shit kicked in the process. So that set up last week in Miami. Division on the line. Buffalo, ever since Thanksgiving weekend, hasn't lost a game. And going into last week, the Dolphins gave up 56 points to the Ravens the week before. The Bills in the past 3 weeks, I think it was, have only given up a combined 53 points. And this, I haven't even mentioned that this team is a walking hospital ward, but I'll get to that. And last week, hey, Josh Allen didn't look like him. The Josh Allen gave you every chance to win. The dude had 3 turnovers, and they were pretty bad. They gave you a chance to win, and what did you do? Last drive of the game, the defense just got a huge stand on 4th and 1. You have the chance. You have the ball. Go down and tie the game. But no. Same old shit. Tua turned the ball over. And it pains me. It fucking pains me to say that. But that's what he fucking did. Tua turned the ball over. Oh, I hate that fucking phrase. Nevertheless, another bad interception by Tua with a chance to win the game. And the Bills take home the East when it was Miami's to take just about a month ago. It was right there for them. But they blew it. Like they always fucking do. So now, they have to go to Kansas City. And one of the coldest games in NFL history. And try and win. Against Mahomes. One of the greatest coaches in the world in Andy Reid. And a team that in the playoffs just was like, oh, okay, playoff mode. So yeah, it's been a rough ending to the year, not to mention the usual December collapse of this team. It's like, oh, December's here when we need to be at our best. Nope. So, that was the season. Now I want to talk about 2 people. Tua and Mike McDaniel. Let's start with Tua. Tua. Well, I will say this, and it's going to be a giant middle finger to everyone thought the dude would be injured by week number 3. And he'd be dead by now, and he's just his brain is made of mush, he doesn't know how to take a hit, he's Mr. Concussion Man, blah, blah, blah. Tua was only one of 9 quarterbacks to play all 18 games this year. 17. 18 weeks. It's been a rough year for injuries around the league. In case you haven't heard. But Tua was only one of 9 to make it. All 18 weeks. So, for the people who say the dude can't play, go fuck yourself. He took last year hard. He did. The dude considered fucking retirement in the offseason, and I don't blame him for that. But he was smart about it. He had a helmet built specifically for him. He did jiu-jitsu training, which everyone laughed at the time. He don't do jiu-jitsu. No. He learned to fall on his shoulders and not his back of his head. He learned how to take a bump. For those who watch wrestling like myself, learned how to take a bump properly and not hurt himself. What he did to improve his body conditions was amazing. Excuse me. So I'll give him credit for that. And you know what? For the majority of the year, he played well. And here come the comments now. Well, he only played well because he has Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill carried Tua. If it wasn't for Tyreek, he'd be absolute shit. Tyreek this. Tua still sucks. God, who gives people fucking internet access, man? Holy shit. God almighty. And there's some truth to that. You know, hey, Tyreek plays a major fucking part in the offense. I'm not gonna shit deny it, dude. He's one of the best wide receivers in the game. He helps out a lot. But it ain't just him. He has a fucking mastermind as a head coach that feeds into his abilities. When Mike McDaniel got the call, he was on the plane from San Francisco to Miami to accept the head coaching job, sign the contract, interviews, whatever. You know what the first person he called on that plane was? Tua Tagovailoa. And he said, dude, I'm fired up. I can't wait to work with you and make you better. You're my guy. And what did he do after that? Show Tua hours of him being great at Alabama. Dude, look at these highlights. We can make you this again. I can make you this again. This is why this team drafted you, dude. And he fucking did. He built the offense around what he had at Alabama. Speed, quickness, and guys that can just feed into him. And for the people who say, oh, he can't throw a deep ball, go fuck yourself. Oh, Tyreek has to slow down to catch the ball. What? What's the film this year? And the run game is fantastic. Mostert and Achane, holy shit, lighting the league up. And I'll give credit to where it's due. The offensive line played outstanding this year. And they have been plagued up as hell for most of the season too. Second most offensive line combinations in the league, only behind the New York Jets. And they did a hell of a job blocking for Tua this year. Didn't get sacked as much. The guy played outstanding this year for what he was told going into the season. Unfortunately, though, he still makes some of those mistakes. The ball's into double coverage. Airing it out when he shouldn't need to. And yes, I guess that's on coaching, but dude, you're going into year 5 next season. What else is there to show? Have we reached the peak of what we'll get out of Tua? And next year's going to be his contract year, mind you. Next year's it. You either got to pay him or let him go. Have we seen all we can out of Tua? Is there anything else to get out of the guy? That's my concern going into next season. I don't know what else he has left to show. Maybe another offseason with McDaniel will help, because it is it's his second year. But it was a rough. I'm willing, this is it. We're going to know by week 5, week 6 next season what Tua is truly made out of. So, we'll see what happens, but I have my doubts, and I think the Dolphins might draft a QB to maybe look at as the future. That's all I'll say. On to Mike McDaniel. Oh boy, Mike McDaniel. Well, here's the thing with Mr. McDaniel, because I've been seeing this a lot too. They should fire McDaniel. Oh, he's a travesty. This guy with his country club attitude, how he just doesn't give a fuck during games. This dude is a disgrace to the NFL. Fuck McDaniel. What? I just can't with the pure idiocy that goes through some people's minds. Mike McDaniel. He's just the guy. Outside of maybe a handful of teams, every fucking team in this league would want Mike McDaniel as their head coach. Outside of a handful, majority of this league would love to have him. He is innovative. He is smart. He has a swagger to him that most people don't have in this league. And he just believes in his team. He motivates them so good to perform their best. Unfortunately, some games haven't been pretty. And the Dolphins still have that narrative about them that they can't beat a legit team. And they struggle. They just struggle when you need them most. They can beat the teams they're supposed to beat outside of the Tennessee game. But when you gotta face the people, the teams, the playoff teams, you gotta start. You gotta just give us one. Ric Flair says it best. To be the best, you gotta beat the best. And they just can't do it. They cannot do it. But that doesn't mean you should fire the guy. He is so well respected around the league for what he's doing and what he's building with Miami right now. Mike, I love you, dude. He ignores the hate. You know, go watch. I forget which network did it. Either ESPN or I think it was NBC. One of the two. Look it up on YouTube. It's like an 8-minute video talking about the life of Mike McDaniel and what he goes through. Man arrives at his office every day at 2:30, 3 a.m. watching film, studying, learning how to be better. The man knows football. And this dude went to an Ivy League school, no less. He loves the game. He cares about the game. And I fucking love that he's my head coach. I really do. He's, out of all the teams I root for and I have, Mike McDaniel is my goddamn favorite. He is so freaking good. So, that brings us to the game tonight. Chiefs, Dolphins. As I've said, the weather this game ain't gonna be pretty. The Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites going into this one. And I mentioned earlier about the Dolphins' injuries. As of last I checked, they have 21 guys right now on the injury report. 21 guys. Think about that for a second. 21 guys. That's an offense and a defense on the field at the same time. Like for scrimmage play. Alright? How many guys is that? That's 22. Dolphins have 21 guys on injury right now. So just pick out anyone you want on either side. Boop. Put them on the sideline. There you go. All those guys. And that is what the Miami Dolphins are dealing with right now, injury-wise. Banged up everywhere you can imagine. Now, there is some good news. And, again, I'm filming this Friday night, so I don't know officially at the moment, and it might have already been announced by the time this video comes out. Raheem Mostert and Jalen Waddle are expected expected to play tonight. They have been practicing all week. It's tough because it's a Saturday game, not a Sunday game, so you lose a day. But they've been practicing. They're still questionable at the moment, but are expected to play. Hopefully they are. Again, I don't know because I'm filming this the night before, and it might already be out by now. That would be a big boost. And here's how the Dolphins will win this game today. The ground game. I think their run game is better than Kansas City. And I respect the Kansas City ground game. But the Dolphins have been slightly better at it all year. And with it being this cold, negative 30 wind chill, 0 degrees at kickoff, supposedly. Ground and pound the ball. Let Mostert and Achane do their thing. I don't trust Tua in this cold weather and trying to throw it deep. I mean, you're going to throw it. You're going to have to. But honestly, run the damn ball. That's how you're going to win today. Run it. Mostert and Achane, do your thing, boys. That's how you'll win. Unfortunately, though, I think the injuries are just too much. You're using guys. They're signing anyone off the streets to help them at this point. I was watching the game last week, and I had a friend. I was watching the game with friends, and he asked me, "Why is Melvin Ingram playing coverage linebacker?" And I'm like, "We got no choice. We have no choice." Eli Apple, one of the worst corners in football, is all CB2. That's how banged up this team is. As I said earlier, second most offensive line combinations, only behind the Jets. You know how hard that fucking is, and how the fact that they've been playing the way they have all year? Holy shit. There's just too much going against this team. And the fact they even won 11 games this year, I'm impressed. I really am. But unfortunately, I just think too much is against us once again. I think it's going to be close. I think the Chiefs will cover in the end. And they ain't as strong as they have been in years past. I'll admit, it's been a rough year for Kansas City. But it's Mahomes in the playoffs, and he's at home. Excuse me. Coldest game in Dolphins franchise history. Mike McDaniel has been telling his team all week, sleep with fans on at night. Just to try and even embrace the cold. Excuse me. So, I think the Dolphins will go out swinging, but it's just... I just don't see it ending pretty. Not ending pretty, but just ending with a win. So I think they will lose and the season will be over. And once again, they'll be looking at another off season of just decisions and how to make yourselves better. So that's going to do it for this one. And I'll leave with just one more thing. I was going through Instagram the other day and I found a clip back in 2022. Convincingly, a month or two after Mike McDaniel took the job to be the Dolphins head coach. He was in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine, and he stopped by the Pat McAfee show. And one of Pat's, how would I describe it? Friend, obviously, but in-show host, who is also a Dolphins fan. You might know him as Bubba Gambino. Gumpy. Excuse me. Why did I say Bubba Gumpino? I have no idea where that came from, but Gumpy. He told McDaniel, he's like, it's been 22 years since a playoff win. Now we're at 24, 2 years later. We need you, man. We need you. And look, I'm the last one to be saying anything about long-term playoff droughts. Believe me, I'm a newer fan. I'm one of the new guys around here, all right? So, you know, it won't, it doesn't have the long-term effects on me, but I know people who have been waiting a very long time for this team to win a playoff game. And you have the chance to do it later today. Go out and give it your best shot, boys. That's all I'll leave you with. So, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all for watching. And potentially, for the final time this year, fins up.